Hello and a very warm welcome to the late-breaking F1 podcast presented by Harry Eade, Sam Sage and me, Ben Hocking, previewing today the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Bit of Baku, Sam.
Yeah, we're Baku again. No, sorry, that is atrocious, isn't it? That's really quite bad.
Hit stop.
You should see what we spoke about before we actually got to the intro, folks. This has been a real journey. Yes, hello, we're at Baku, the European Grand Prix, and I can't wait for us to go through the castle section, famously, the difficult part to get through, isn't it?
I didn't realise we were there, personally.
We are. That's where I'm sat right now.
In Baku?
I'm in the castle section. I am the castle section.
All of your room with you.
Honestly, that old castle, they let me put everything up on the wall.
Oh, wow.
Very generous are the Baku people.
Terrible banter.
It really is. Let's restart the whole show.
No, carry on.
Have you got some good banter before we move on, Harry?
I never had good banter, so carry on.
That's very true, yeah. Fortunately, we don't need to rely on banter because we've got news that's been released on time. Thank you very much to Aston Martin and to Adrian Newey. We're going to be talking about that later on in the episode. Under pressure, Oliver Bearman making his debut for Haas. We've got F1 back and forth. Before we get into our Azerbaijan preview, just to say, if you're not already, please consider subscribing to our Patreon. It's going to be a couple of busy weeks, of course, with the Singapore Grand Prix immediately following the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We're going to have power rankings across both weekends. Myself and Sam have just recorded a standard episode for you as well. Everything is absolutely ad-free, of course. So I'm sure there's at least one perk that you'll love on there. So do consider checking out the link if you haven't done so already.
It's cheap too.
Thank you very much, man who doesn't understand money. What was that, Harry? So moving on to this weekend, Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Sam, last three races, 3 different teams have won.
Good.
We had Mercedes before the summer break at the Belgian Grand Prix. We had Lando Norris for McLaren at the Dutch Grand Prix. And then obviously last time out, we had Charles Leclerc winning for Ferrari. Not something that happens all that often. 3 different teams winning 3 consecutive races. How many teams are in this fight?
Genuinely, I think the doors are open to absolutely anyone that are being inside that top 4 battle in the constructors right now. It's really hard to tell where each team has their strengths currently. McLaren do seem to be the front runners, and consistently so. They seem to be like they are now the team to beat, both driver lineup wise and constructors. They are really firing on full cylinders, apart from when they get too close together, and then we're going to deploy the rules that shall not be named any further because we've said it too many times on this show.
A rule.
No, he said it. It just reminds me of Billy Gilmore, where he's like, "Oh, Doyle rules." Which is such a niche reference to an Adam Sandler movie. But I think Baku is going to very much suit McLaren. Not too much in terms of the straight line speed, where whilst they are very competitive, they were unable to stretch their legs, unlike what they did in Zandvoort, for example. But I think that middle sector will really play into their hands. I do think it means that the door is open for Red Bull to be far more competitive. I think Ferrari do have a chance if they can make sure that their upgrades are fully up and running, fully operational. We know that they brought upgrades earlier on in the season multiple times, and they haven't optimized them fully because maybe they were rushed. The same with Mercedes. They, of course, brought that upgrade to Spa. It didn't function the way they wanted it to, so they took it back off again. They put it back on for Zandvoort. Arguably, it didn't give them the results they wanted. They weren't as close as they would like in Italy. I do wonder if now Baku is the time when they've got their heads around things, and maybe, once again, they've come to understand the car. So I do think it is kind of open to anyone to have success here. It might also be who is willing to be the bravest around the walls of Baku. It is such a tight and twisty middle sector. That castle section has claimed many a victim in the past, famously, of course, Charles Leclerc being one of those, where he was quoted saying, "I am stupid." So we'll see. We'll see what who's able to come out on top. But we are at a very exciting point in Formula One where I can't certainly say which driver is probably going to be 9 times out of 10 the one that's going to get pole position. It's a really good place to be. Formula One is finally fully competitive, and we change everything in a year's time, so that's great.
Yay.
Love that. Well, Sam, you might not know, but fortunately we've got our resident predictions expert in Harry Eade on the podcast, so he can accurately tell us who the favourites are.
I haven't got a clue, actually.
Wow.
I know, that's a shocker.
That's unusual for you.
Yeah. The next 2 races, I am properly excited for, because as Sam's already mentioned, it's already very open Ben's already mentioned that 3 out of the last 3 races have been 3 different teams winning. And now
None
we're
of them
going
being Red Bull as
none
well.
of them being Red Bull, which is a bizarre thing. Imagine saying that at the beginning of the year.
And they still lead both championships.
Mad.
Lol. Still leading. But it's already very open, and now we're going to Baku, followed by Singapore, where normally there's some weird results anyway. So quite frankly, Colapinto Bean's going to win this.
Oh God!
That's
someone clip that.
He's not going to win this. Yeah, but I'm very excited because I think this could be anyone's. It could be anyone's a race to take, because not only is F1 that competitive at the moment that we could have a very competitive fight for the lead, but you throw in the chaos of Baku or Singapore. Singapore's actually less chaotic. It's just quite an anomaly of a circuit. I think I mentioned this the other day.
But therefore is exactly what chaos is. It's anomaly. It's the uncertainty.
But rather than just like it's chaotic as in people crashing all the time like Baku, it's more just the
pecking orders all over the place.
Just doesn't make sense. You go to Singapore and nothing makes sense in racing
on
terms.
the racetrack only.
Not just sorry to anyone from Singapore.
Racing is generally fine.
Love you, Singapore.
I hear your airport's delightful.
Apparently, yeah. I've never been, but it's supposed to be amazing.
Singapore Airport, get in touch.
Please, sponsor us. Anyway,
always terrible to go.
Yeah, I'm. This could be one of the most fascinating couple of races of the season. I don't want to hype it up too much because it's inevitably going to be a letdown after that. But I genuinely, this could go any way, and I'm not limiting this to Ferrari, McLaren, Mercedes, or Red Bull. If there's some chaos in the field, even without that big fight at the front, the field's very tightly packed at the moment. Like, F1 is in a good place for how competitive the Formula One field is. You get to, we saw Hamilton missing out in Zandvoort, for example. Was it Zandvoort? Where he got knocked out in Q2. But he missed out by like a minimal amount of time. And that midfield is so tightly patched that you get a bit of chaos and we could have anyone winning it. So, yeah, very hard to predict who's going to take this one. There's no real clear favourite, especially for Baku and again for Singapore in a week or so's time. So yeah, hold on to your hats, folks. Yeah,
I'm somewhat thinking the same thing about not immediately promoting as this weekend is going to be an incredible race, because Baku is it's either brilliant or it's awful.
Or nothing.
It doesn't do anything in between, does it? It's either a 10 out of 10 or a 1 out of 10. So I'm not going to say right now that it's going to be an epic race, because based on my record so far this year, I would be wrong. And going from Sam's incredibly informative, he doesn't know the answer, and Harry's incredibly informative, he doesn't know the answer. I don't know the answer either. Who's going to be the favourites? Who's going to win? I haven't got a clue. And you know what? That is the absolute best answer. That's my favourite answer. We shouldn't know. We shouldn't know going into a weekend who's going to be the dominant team. Sure, you might say that McLaren maybe are the favourites based on what we've seen, but equally, would anyone be massively shocked by a Ferrari win? No. Would anyone be massively shocked by a Mercedes win? No. If Verstappen won, would anyone be massively shocked? No. So we are getting to a point where...
A savage dig there at Sergio Perez, everyone. Did you notice that?
Well, no, I'll get on Sergio Perez a bit later on, where I will prove it's not a dig.
They call him Mr. Street Circuit.
You know that song makes it sure he won't win. He literally started to struggle
immediately after that.
Sam said that for the first time.
The birth of that song was the moment his downfall began.
Honestly. I am intrigued with Baku. Like, it is a bit of a setup challenge. I think people immediately just look at that incredibly long straight and think that's quite easy. But there are such extremes at this circuit. You've already referenced the castle section. You will hit incredible top speed on that start-finish straight. And that castle section is one of the slowest sort of sections that we get on the F1 calendar. And you've got to have a setup that adjusts for both of those things. I think if McLaren can match the top speed of everyone else, they could be a demon in that middle sector. Like that, they could just make that their own for the entire weekend. I'm intrigued to see how that goes. The other thing I did want to say as well is we, as a trio, maybe aren't the most complimentary of street circuits generally, because there are more and more of them on the calendar. But I'm quite excited about this street circuit. And I think the reason why is because it's been like 8 races since the last one. And I think we don't mind having street circuits on the calendar. It's just, I enjoy being excited about a new challenge, which we don't get at like the beginning of the season when half the races are street circuits. So I'm intrigued by that.
What's that you mean, Ben? You like, if you take something away, it builds anticipation for it?
Oh,
That's a
you might be onto something there. Sam.
goodness me, what a theory that is.
Well, we've not had a sprint race for a while.
Shut up, Sam.
Yeah, don't work for everything, sunshine. I've been punched in the face for a little while. You know,
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah, lots of people can help. Doesn't mean I want to slap round the chops. Thank you very much.
The bookmakers make Lando Norris the favourite here, which I think is understandable given what he did at Zandvoort, and also there is this lingering will they start actually using team orders question, which could be very exciting. Red Bull, moving on to them, they were quite definitive, at least in qualifying. They were the fourth fastest car. It was quite a downturn. Are they going to be back in the fight, Sam?
I think more so than they were at Monza. Something that shouldn't be read into, I think, is speed trap analysis. And a lot of people do like to look into the fact that, you know, Baku has an incredibly long start-finish straight, which essentially encompasses half of the racetrack. And then Monza, obviously, it's called the temperate speed for a reason. It's all straight lines, essentially, with little curves at the end of each one. McLaren were 8th out of all the teams in the speed trap at Monza, and yet they were essentially the two cars fighting for the victory until Lord Percival decided to pull off the strategy masterclass and steal it from them. That was not straight line speed focused. That was strategically brilliant. Red Bull, I think, are very much struggling with the focus of straight line speed. I don't think it's suiting where their car is going, but I think, as always, they've been downforce reliant. The chassis is good when it comes to moving through these tight turns and ensuring that actually they get off of corners well, and the car remains at a very high minimal speed going through these tight turns. And Baku has a lot of kind of right angle corners. I think it's going to suit them very, very much. Look at how well Verstappen was doing around Zandvoort, which again is a very high downforce centric racetrack. He was, bested by Lando Norris by quite some way, but Verstappen drove a fantastic Grand Prix. He managed to hold off the cars behind him well. Second place was achieved. I do think that if they can maximize the first, second sector and try and only lose a small, or stay in the slipstream, utilize DRS well across the start-finish straight, they might generally have a better chance of it. I don't think they're going to be the fourth fastest team, rather. I don't think they're going to be sitting in 7th and 8th. I do think, especially Verstappen, that they will very much find themselves in the fight for podium positions. I would be shocked if we see an outright Max Verstappen win at this weekend. I don't think the Red Bull is going to be that much stronger, but I do think it'll be far more competitive.
Harry, it's likely to be an epic battle between Red Bull and Alpine, but can they win it?
Red Bull went, I mean, it wasn't a great weekend for them in Monza, but it wasn't like catastrophic in terms of they were absolutely nowhere. They just weren't as quick as their main rivals. I'd hazard to guess they'd be more in the fight this weekend, especially if it is chaotic and it's street circuit-esque. I know it's a slightly odd street circuit Baku. It's not like Monaco, for example. But you still have to get into a groove around a street circuit, and even if you don't have the best car, sometimes it's just the driver getting the most out of his machine on the day. So expect Verstappen to be in that fight. Like you say, Sam, I don't think the straight line speed matters because that wasn't their issue in Monza. I guess their biggest concern is that it wouldn't do any corners well, and there are still corners in Baku. I know there's
most circuits.
To be fair, that's a valid point. Most circuits have corners, so I know there's slightly different corners in Baku, a lot more sort of 90-degree, right angles with barriers in the way, so it's a slightly different challenge, but they are corners. So they're going to want to have tried and sorted out that problem. Again, it's just, even though you got the big long straight, it's still a different setup for Baku than it is at Monza because it's not all outright straight lines everywhere. I would expect him to be there. I think Verstappen will be able to make more of a difference than he could in Monza. If it's chaotic, then I would expect him to be there.
I was thinking back to the last street circuit that we had, which was Monaco. The last true street circuit was Monaco. And sort of remembering the narrative that was going on at that time, because obviously Verstappen didn't win that race, and based on Monaco, it was very unlikely he was going to, based on where he qualified. But I think the fact that he didn't win and he wasn't in the fight for the win was far bigger then than it seems now, because we've had quite a few races now where he hasn't necessarily been winning all of the time. But at that time, it was quite a big deal, right? That he wasn't in the lead. And Red Bull were very much focused on their car not responding to these curbs and bumps, like that they really struggled with it. And I remember saying at the time, well, we're not really going to see over the next 8 races or so that pop up again, probably, because we're now going into a stretch of these traditional race circuits, purpose-built race circuits. I'm intrigued to see if that comes back at all, because at that time they had those issues and they clearly struggled with it. But now they're not the fastest car, and if those issues come back, that could be interesting. I wanted to go back to Perez here because Perez is very good at this circuit, and I am intrigued to see if he can be in the fight with Verstappen, if they can be quite close this weekend. Remember that of 5 victories that Perez has taken for Red Bull, Baku has represented 2 of them. This is the only circuit he's won at multiple times. And even in his Force India days, he was very good here. He picked up 2 podiums in the first 3 years at a time where that was not a podium competing car on a week-to-week basis. So Perez tends to do very well here, and I'm interested to see if that can up his form on previous races.
They call him Mr. Street Circuit for a reason.
Oh, well, that's sealed it. Should we do some bold predictions?
Let's go bold.
Gather around, little children, and listen to my song about my F1 bold predictions and how they'll all be wrong.
Sam, what is your bold prediction?
Sauber points.
Oof size.
Goodness
Large.
me.
Phenomenally big.
Damn.
What about the prediction?
I mean, you've done the correct thing in that you haven't predicted any positions or which driver, just that it will happen. Like you
That's
are
enough.
making it as possible as you
I
can.
think that on its own is bold enough right now.
enough.
They've proven to us that is a tough ask.
Oh boy. I mean, they were so close at Monza as well. So who knows?
Yeah, right on the cusp.
Yeah. Harry, your bold prediction.
I'm going for, and I've sort of hinted at this already, a brand new winner for 2024.
Is this like the 3rd time you said this now?
So, well, I mean, it gets bolder by the season because by the race, because
It's at least
essentially you're banking on Sergio Perez or a complete outsider.
I'm not saying, but yes.
Well, we'll find out soon enough. We're going to do poll 1, 2, 3. But
it's going to be Perez.
my bold prediction, and this relates back to something we discussed on last week's episode. My bold prediction is Oscar Piastri refuses a team order.
You mean, okay, bit of clarity here. We're talking outright, talking like on the radio, refusing to move, or we're just going to see the action of it?
Oh, I mean, maybe he says it, maybe he doesn't, but like we'll see a call be made to Piastri, and he either will say no or he will do no.
He's saying no or he do no.
Yeah, one or the other.
All right, fascinating.
Yeah. Poll 1, 2, 3. Sam, what we got?
Pole, Lando Norris. Wing, Lando Norris. 2nd, Piastri. 3rd will be Leclerc.
My one is incredibly similar. I've gone pole Norris, 1st Piastri, 2nd Norris, 3rd Leclerc. Harry,
I've gone for
won't be similar.
pole Norris. The win is going to Fernando Alonso.
Oh, I have a day
2nd
off.
is Charles Leclerc, and 3rd is Norris.
That's more
the
bold.
Newey effect.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
immediately.
more bold than just saying a
Adrian
random
Martin, come on.
Exactly.
winner. Have a day off.
Okay. Firstly, I mean, I appreciate your bold prediction is just covered off more. It'd be really funny if your bold prediction is right, but it's not Alonso.
I'll be sad, but yeah.
Stroll.
Yeah, wrong Aston Martin. Who'd have saw that coming? You never know in Baku. Aston
very
Martin
true.
been on the podium here before.
It's going to happen anywhere, you would say, Baku, right? Let us know what your bold prediction is in the comments. Love to know your thoughts. We're going to take our first break on this episode. On the other side, we are chatting that news. Adrian Newey to Aston Martin.
The Neweys.
Adrian Newey.
Welcome back, and another thank you. I appreciate we gave a thank you at the top of this episode to Aston Martin and Adrian Newey, because the news that has been rumoured for a little while now was confirmed in a press conference this morning. Adrian Newey will join Aston Martin from 2025, joining as their technical managing partner and indeed a shareholder. Adrian Newey in the conference. He spoke a lot about his decision and how it's a new challenge. The BBC reporting that it could be a 5-year contract up to about £30 million per year. So not necessarily cheap, but hey, Adrian Newey has a lot of success in this sport, so you wouldn't expect him to come cheap. We've got sort of two ways we're going to look at this from Adrian Newey's perspective and then from Aston Martin's perspective. So let's start with Newey. Sam, why do you think he's decided to go here specifically? Is it the right call for him?
I knew he would deliver.
Oh, come on. I knew that's what... I knew
hang on, I'm just going to kick him out. Remove from the call.
I'm still on camera, folks. That's where it goes. Oh, good. I've had that one for a while. So,
in time as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that's been finally able to be delivered.
Do you know what the secret to comedy is, Ben? Timing.
Adrian Newey. No? Okay.
Anyway.
Martin Brundle has labelled this. What am I answering first? The Adrian Newey version?
Yeah. What?
Sorry, I've lost track entirely of where we're going.
Why has Newey decided to go to Aston Martin specifically?
He doesn't want to leave his house. It's close enough that he can drive from there. I think, honestly, it's one of the key reasons from it. I genuinely, I also think it's longevity. I think it's a wider project in the sense that he sees this as having more freedom, more building blocks to play with. There's more that he can craft a legacy around. And whilst obviously Ferrari was another option that was very much bounding about by the likes of ourselves and the general Formula One media, and I'm sure himself as well, where he would have entered a legacy. You know, Ferrari really is kind of the hero's hall where, you know, success already very much exists in Formula One, and he would be joining a long line of successors and also partnering with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, which would be a formidable trio. I think he wanted to build something himself, and I think he wanted to craft something under his own wings, and this allows him to do that. I think he'll have total freedom. I also think Aston Martin opens up options with Honda as well, which are coming in, of course. The avenues to move around from just outside of Formula One as well. We know that he thoroughly enjoys his boat design. I imagine there's a lot more projects as well out there that Honda probably have their hands around that he's able to be a part of also. I just think it gives him generally more freedom, more openness to do what he wants to. Also, he, for some reason, is the world's biggest fan of Fernando Alonso. So I didn't realise we had Adrian Newey on the podcast over there.
What do you mean for some reason? Very understandable.
There we go. Adrian Newey has spoken. Thank you.
I wish I was Adrian Newey.
He's so white. Just younger. Anyway, I think that's why. I think it's freedom of project. I think it's creative control. I think he is able to fully take the reins and do with it what he would like to do. Very much like he was able to do at Red Bull, but probably with a different culture, and the fact that this is very much a prestigious automotive brand that probably opens a lot more doors to him outside of the Red Bull family. It does make a lot of sense. It also is in a place, Aston Martin in a place where if he does have a very big influence on where they go, he can sit there and put his hand up and go, well, I took us from 5th or 6th in the constructors, and hey, in 4 years' time, we were winning races. That's because I turned up and me and my team did that. So it allows him to really put his mark on things. So I'm not baffled by the choice, but personally, I am a little bit surprised that he turned down the Ferrari decision.
Harry, why do you think he's made this call?
He does want to stay in the UK. I think that's a fair shout. Have you seen the clip flying about of Jeremy Clarkson on Viaplay just saying, I've got a... this is like, was it Spanish GP? It was in July. It was Austria. A while ago, yeah. And he's just saying, Adrian Newey's looking for a house. He's house hunting in Oxfordshire, not Maranello. And no one picked up on it. Because it's just Jeremy Clarkson being Jeremy Clarkson, but for once he's actually speaking the truth. But I do think that was a key thing for him. Adrian Newey, he's not an old man, but he's not a spring chicken. He's been around for a while. He doesn't necessarily want to relocate to Italy, as beautiful part of the world it is. He clearly didn't want to do that. So I think that is a factor. Ferrari, they've tried to get him so many times. There must be something that's blocking him. He's turned them down multiple times now. There must be something there that he thinks just isn't going to gel, isn't going to work out. And maybe he thinks they're a lost hope. Maybe they are a lost hope. Who knows?
He's probably not wrong.
Poison chalice.
Maybe they're like, he saw Hamilton was going, was like, they've got enough help. Lewis Hamilton's there, and they've got Charles Leclerc. They'll be fine. They don't need me. But I think it's an intriguing one. I think Ferrari, that has a lot of enticing options. They've got a lot of resource. They will have Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc as of next year, which is, that's a pretty promising prospect to work with. But Aston Martin are also investing a lot in their F1 project. They've just opened building number 2 of 3 at Silverstone, and if you've not seen an overhead shot of it, I think it's actually
madness.
It's on Alonso's story. I mean, it's pretty much seen out too late, but it's absolutely
It looks like an Amazon warehouse.
Yeah,
that's how big
huge. It is. Versus what Eddie Jordan used to have, it's quite remarkable. So some big resources, big resource going into that project. Honda, as you already mentioned, Adrian Newey's had plenty of experience working with them. It's quite an enticing prospect. Obviously, the pay packet is useful as well. But to be honest, for Adrian Newey, I don't think that makes a difference. He's a very rich dude. He just wants a project. It's quite intriguing, and this was brought up in the press conference. It's quite intriguing that he is very much committed full time. I know he wasn't really like part time for Red Bull anymore. He sort of stepped back a bit in the beginning of the hybrid era, but came back in for like 2021, where the championship got spicy and they needed his help, and sort of stayed from there. But he's fully back in to do this properly. So he clearly wants. This is like this is going to be his retirement pot he's building up here. This is like his last throw of the dice. He wants to win one more championship, and clearly thinks Aston Martin are the ones to do it.
What are your thoughts on the role specifically? Because again, he might have gone down a slightly more consulting path, but instead it does sound like he's going to have full control over the structure of the team. He's going to have control over personnel. When they being Lawrence Stroll and Adrian Newey were asked about this, Lawrence Stroll's answer was essentially, that's not my wheelhouse. Like, Adrian Newey's going to deal with that. How were you surprised at all that was the sort of role that he was going to get here?
Not necessarily, because I don't know this obviously, but I could see at Red Bull, he's had a great success at Red Bull, built a great team there, but I could see there are a few more egos flying about the Red Bull campus than there are the Aston Martin one, and maybe he was limited on what he wanted for as a vision for like that technical department. And as you say, Lawrence Stroll's just like, handed over the keys, off you go make me fast car, go away now, and I won't look at what you're doing. So that's for anyone that's an enticing prospect, and maybe that's wasn't Ferrari can offer the same or wouldn't offer the same. We don't know the details, but for anyone of Adrian Newey's stature, that's got to be, as a final project in F1, that's got to be a very enticing prospect for him to start working on, because like I say, he's got free reign over it. A man's got shares in this F1 team now. He is invested.
Yeah, and I thought the role sounded perfect as well, in that it gives if you get Adrian Newey, you've got to use him right. Like, you need to ensure that he has the headspace and the room to be able to. This is going to sound patronising. Draw away. Like, it sounds patronising. It's not. He needs time to draw and come up with these.
Get the crayons out, Adrian.
He does, right? And it sounds like, based on this press conference, that he will have that, whilst also having the ability to converse with his team and getting these ideas into reality. Of course, Dan Fallows he's worked with before, so that's going to be an instant help for him. I was listening to the press conference earlier, and I will preface this with, I don't think this is... Adrian Newey's not a natural when it comes to in front of a microphone in that environment. Like, it's just not him. And he does his best with it. Like, it's not an embarrassment in any way, but it's clear he's not a natural on the mic, is he? And I didn't need to include that preference, because when he was asked the first question by Laura Winter, why have you decided to go to Aston Martin? Of course, that was going to be the first question. And he says it's a new challenge. I think that might have been his first sentence, which, let's face it, that would have been true regardless of where he went. I was really underwhelmed by his answer. Like, he didn't really... I thought he was going to express some real reasons as to why Aston Martin particularly was the next step in his career. And I don't think he spent quite a few minutes talking, but at the end of it, I wasn't really any the wiser as to why he's done it. Now, some of the questions that came out later, I think, started to get there in terms of Lawrence Stroll's passion for F1 and, some of the developments that have already been referenced in this discussion. But yeah, when he first came out, I was a bit underwhelmed. I was expecting some real reasons as to why Aston Martin specifically, and I don't think he really said anything. But again, I don't think this is Adrian Newey's wheelhouse. So maybe that's part of it. As you say, being a shareholder, money is not going to be a non-factor. How much of a factor it is, only he will know, but it's certainly a factor. In terms of, we'll spin it around on the team now. Sam, how big is this for Aston Martin particularly?
This is bigger than any driver I think that they could employ. I genuinely think Martin, I meant to say this at the start and obviously got sidetracked by all our silly banter, but Martin Brundle has come out and said previously that he is the most valuable person in Formula One, maybe in motor racing, maybe across all of motor racing. He is a mind that can comprehend things that so few can, and being able to give him the keys to essentially the world, to let him do whatever he wants. It's a sandbox for him now to go in there and play with whatever he wants and make it however he wants. What a gate to open for someone who is that brilliant at what they do. If you're Aston Martin, this is a bit of a Charlie in the Chocolate Factory golden ticket moment. You go pull it out the bar and you go, wow, I'm about to get the experience of a lifetime. It's almost a guarantee that at some point down the road, Adrian Newey is going to fabricate something for you that no one else can. And how many times on this podcast have I said Aston Martin struggle because all they do is copy the lead cars. They take ideas from the lead cars, they replicate them, and then they run out of ideas because they haven't seen the next development come along yet from the lead cars. And they can't get any closer to the Red Bulls, to the McLarens, who've got their own design team, who are fabricating these brilliant, brilliant developments, finding loopholes, finding 2-3 extra tenths. And Aston Martin go, oh, we've seen that. We're going to make it now. And then you make it, and it doesn't go anywhere any further than that. But now you've got Adrian Newey. Adrian Newey is the door that everyone else tries to walk through. He is the drawing that everyone tries to copy. He is the creator. He's the guy that you want to look at and go, that's what we need to replicate. And he's in your team now. It's like signing Lionel Messi for an under-5s team. No one else can keep up with that guy. It's like puppies chasing after a ball, and he's doing keepy-ups. Adrian Newey's that guy. No wonder they signed and put a blank check up to him and went, do whatever you want, however you want it. Have full reign, your team. And that's the only job that he can have as well. Give him his own team. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got his own wing of that entire factory that's his own. He goes, no one coming. I'm on my own with my colouring book and my big bits of paper and probably the manuscript of what the rules say so he can break it down word by word. He's a closed-off man by nature, so I'm not surprised that his PR statement when he first got interviewed was also a little bit hesitant, a bit closed in that nature. But he's brilliant, and I'm not shocked. I think this means everything to Aston Martin that they went out and they beat Ferrari. Williams was another rumour. They beat them too. This is the biggest steal I think they could come up with probably in a decade. I do not think, maybe 20 years. I don't think it will get better for them than this moment.
Aston Martin under 5s. That's a real coup. Just imagine like the signing where he's got like the 4-year-old's kit, like holding
the baby's kit.
That's going to be a great signing. Harry, what are your thoughts on how this can help the Aston Martin team?
Undoubtedly, I think as Sam said, this is. I mean, firstly, look at the scale of this announcement today. He is a. Not to diminish anything to do with engineers or designers. He is a designer, and they had like a whole teaser video. They had an entire press conference. He's not a driver.
F1 put out cartoons about him.
Correct. It was everywhere, and I think
Didn't have this for Hamilton, did we?
No, exactly.
No.
To be fair, none of us saw Hamilton coming. We all just fell. We'd fallen over.
Secret, didn't they? They were much better at keeping that a secret.
But I think that shows how big a statement this is for Aston Martin. It's quite the coup. Let's not forget, this is Jordan. Adrian Newey has just signed for Jordan. Go back to the year 2000 and tell Eddie Jordan. I mean, this is like the master plan. Eddie Jordan's been playing the long game. He's finally signed Adrian Newey to his team.
Statement tomorrow. We're renaming the team Jordan.
He signed it.
Stroll takes off the mask. It's Eddie Jordan all along.
I told you this is my plan.
By the way, I wonder what cut Eddie Jordan gets for that 30 million each year.
He could retire immediately and run off forever.
Enough for EJ. Anyway, But my point is, I know they've got a lot of investment in this, in the brand new facilities, and Lawrence Stroll's pouring a lot of money into it. But they are still, I know the brand is big, but they are still a small outfit. They're getting bigger by the minute, but they are still quite a small outfit, especially versus Ferrari. And this is almost similar to what Red Bull did back in 2007 when they got Adrian in the first place. A big brand, but actually quite a small team with very little success. I mean, Red Bull even less success than Aston Martin have had so far, but it's kind of that scale, and it's quite a big moment for them. Obviously, proof is going to be in the pudding. They still need to win races with the cars that Adrian Newey designs. It's not like it's a done deal, but it's a huge steal for Aston Martin, and again, especially to go up against the mighty Ferrari. As I said, he's biffed off Ferrari quite a few times, Newey, in the past, but it seemed like it was time. Like, this was the time it was happening. He's left Red Bull. He's been with Red Bull for so long. This would be a great little retirement. Hamilton's there. They're going to have a few years together, win some races, and stroll off into the sunset. And no, Lawrence Stroll, the devious man, is swept in and caught Ferrari unawares. So I don't know how down to the wire these negotiations went, but it'd be intriguing to find out one day as to whether this was still going on a few weeks ago or whether Fred Vasseur lost his battle a while ago. But yeah, huge coup for Aston Martin.
I wonder if Lewis Hamilton was maybe told about this when he was signing on. We're going for Newey.
Does make me wonder. He's like,
who knows?
Him and Fernando. Fernando's just texting him like this emoji.
Got you again. Your turn.
Middle finger emoji.
Yeah.
Arm around Adrian Newey.
Selfie.
Yeah. with George Russell on the other side with a big cigar out of their mouth.
George, what are you doing there?
Harry, you said you are interested to see how the negotiations might come down to the wire between Aston Martin and Ferrari. I'm more intrigued about what Adrian Newey said about how he was contacted by many teams and how he didn't bother getting back in contact with some of them. I want to know who they were.
Alpine, it's definitely Alpine.
I would love to see Alpine try and reach out to Adrian Newey and Adrian Newey just not respond. Just play that on loop.
Bruno Firmin's still been left on red. Still waiting for it to reply. Got 2 blue ticks.
You ready to talk now? Ready to talk now, Adrian?
What about now?
Adrian?
I do wonder as well whether, and again, we don't know when this was a done deal, but Alonso signed on for Aston Martin this year for a few more years, early doors. Earlier than we thought he was going to. Don't know if that was a factor as well, but yeah.
Fair point.
Anyway.
Spicy.
I obviously... Adrian Newey is a massive signing. Like, he is very good. He has won a lot in Formula One. We would be here for hours if we were to go through all of his accolades. Can he be the difference? Yeah, he absolutely can be the difference with everything else they're doing in terms of the wind tunnel and obviously bringing him in and 2026 regulations. He can be the difference. Talk to me when there's another second driver.
Yeah, I knew you were bringing this up.
Talk to me when... I am sick to the back teeth of hearing Lawrence Stroll is doing everything he possibly can. No, he's not. That's a lie. Lance Stroll is still in that seat. Until he's gone, he's not doing everything he can.
He loves his boy.
But if that's his objective, if his objective is win a championship with my son in that seat, okay. Like, if that is your objective, not to win a championship, but to win a championship with that condition in place, okay, just be upfront about it. I'm sick of hearing no stone unturned, right? No, there's a stone that's not turned over yet. It's a second driver. You've had plenty of opportunities to move on, and you haven't. And until he does,
Do you think Verstappen will join if they offer him the contract?
I mean,
big enough, obviously.
Yeah, nothing's possible at the moment, I think.
The contract itself is actually the size of the warehouse now. The writing's the same size, Max, but the bit of paper's huge.
As well, I mean, Fernando Alonso, as much as I absolutely love him, guy is 43 years old. I really hope he can keep this up for the next few years. It's not definite he will. You would rather have that second seat be a bit more, I don't know, you want another superstar in that second seat to know that if Alonso does have that drop-off, you've got the backup. You don't have that at the moment.
I do wonder if we get to 26, Adrian does manage to help design a rocket ship of a car. I think it's widely acknowledged the 26 is going to be Alonso's last year. If the car's good, I could see him being like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying.
I'm not leaving.
Yeah, Jordan Belfort style. I'm not leaving. I'm in a good car, finally. I'm staying right here.
I've waited 20 years for this.
They've actually
Say he's not leaving. You mean it literally. He will not get out of the car.
Because that will mean, but we got Verstappen. No, I'm not getting out of the car. I'm staying
Sellotaping himself in.
He is going to have to physically remove me from this seat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guy's going to be in his late 40s by the time. I mean, even with Adrian Newey, it's going to take at least 2 or 3 years to get this car really up to scratch. So he's going to be 46 or so before it's a race winner.
I guess the only encouraging thing for Aston Martin on that front is that they can't start any work on 26 until beginning of next year. And there's actually only an 8-week period versus when they can start and when he starts. I got this like image of him walking in on the 1st of March with a drawing and them showing them their drawing and he going, no, my drawing, please.
He's drawn a Formula One car. They've drawn a clown's face.
Start again.
What is that? That's not a car.
He's probably just going to give his whole workforce the first 2 months off. Just be like, don't bother. Just wait till I get there.
Yeah,
rest don't come back. Just let me do it.
Let's take our second break on this episode. We've got Under Pressure right after this. Okay, we've got some Under Pressure submissions, as always, from our Discord. Before we get there, though, Sam, who or what is under pressure for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
I'm going to go Lando Norris. I've given him stick too much this season. I put my hands up and I do say that I approve in the leader of the Lando hate patrol. And it is now time for him to shut me up and deliver. You want a title fight? You want to be one of the best? You want to be one of the big boys that can talk their mouth off whenever they want? Now's the time to start winning. So Lando Norris, thrash your teammate, beat everyone else. Bloody go out there and win properly.
Harry, what have you got?
Sam's already mentioned them in his bold prediction, but I'm going for Sauber because it's a toaster. We know it's a toaster and we're not expecting big things from it. But of all the races this year where they could nab a point or two, and remember, everyone else has scored the points and they haven't, this is the one. Just come on. If Valtteri Bottas is around the points, do not pit him with about 4 laps to go, okay? Just let him be.
That's not the strategy?
No, let Valtteri be. He'll finish off the job. Just don't pit him.
Honestly, if there were 9 finishers this weekend, I don't think Sauber would score a point if they both finished. They would just flat out, like, they would not give them. I know you finished 8th and 9th. I'm not giving you any points. You were that bad.
So slow.
I've also gone for a team. I've also gone for a slow team. I've gone for Alpine because Monza was the first time since Imola that both cars finished the race and neither were in the top 12. Monza was awful. It was so bad.
It was always going to be though, right?
It was always going to be, sure. Maybe they just hate Italy, actually. Like Imola and Monza, they both struggled at. But they did score in the 2 races before that, which does maybe encourage them a bit. What will encourage them a bit less is that if you look at the team ahead of them in the championship and the team directly behind them, you've got Williams 7 points behind, you've got Haas 15 points ahead. They were probably the 5th and 6th best teams at Monza. Like, they were both pretty good. So if both of those start to get on a run, Alpine could find themselves 9th, which I appreciate. 8th is not great. In fact, I would say it's awful, but 9th is more awful. So I think they're under pressure to get back in the points.
It's been a while, folks, but get that in the book.
Nice.
Get that in the book. What have we got from our Discord, Harry?
Yes, thank you everyone for sending in your submissions. First up is an excellent name. It's Break Late or Go Home.
All right, boys. My under pressure for this week is, first of all, it's Red Bull, and Checo specifically, having made those comments he made last week. He's got to now suddenly find that magic form he seems to find after European legs over. And McLaren for actually trying to make sure they can manage having 2 cars at the front and not have it implode week in and week out. Cheers for the pod, boys.
Fortunately, teammates having contact never happens at Baku.
No, very rare actually. It's Wet K-Mag next.
Gene Haas's close personal friend, Wet K-Mag here. Minor pressure, well, it's time to bear witness. This could be Ollie Bearman's only time in a Haas where his teammate isn't trying to kill him. So I think it's a good opportunity to show what he's got outside of a souped-up Ferrari. Love the podcast. Join the Patreon.
We've not mentioned that. I'm very curious to see how he's going to go in a Haas.
I was going to tell him off for the Ocon slander, but then he said join the Patreon at the end, so I can't.
Yeah,
it's Wet K-Mag, a close personal friend of Gene Haas. I can't be rude to him.
Also, we can touch on this in the preview next week, but K-Mag returning in Singapore next week with a clean license.
I didn't think about that.
Immediate bang.
It's going to be carnage, an absolute, and no prospect or hope of getting another drive for next year. He's just not going to care.
You know the Simpsons meme where he walks out the door and walks straight in the door, straight back out the door. That's K-Mag.
Oh dear. Next up is Hazza.
Right, boys, most under pressure for Baku this weekend. I'm going a bit left field. I'm going to go with Ollie Bearman. He's got his cameo for Kevin Magnussen. And, he's not had a stellar F2 season, so he's got to prove that they've made the right call. Otherwise, it could be an expensive mistake for Haas.
But do you know what's not an expensive mistake, Harry?
What's that, Northern George?
Grabbing on Patreon. Beautiful.
Sounds like a right bargain. Cheers, boys.
Oh, good. Those two, eh?
So many accents, so little time.
Like
I didn't realise that you could take out the syllables of Baku, but
Baku.
Hazza dig it. Baku.
It has -2 syllables.
Northern George and Hazza are like the Morecambe and Wise of the modern day.
Formula One world.
Anyway, that's a niche reference to some comedians. Big American Daddy is next.
Under pressure this week. I'll tell you, boys, it's got to be my man, Max Verstappen. Maxi. You got to reach down and grab a hold like you got a pair, son.
Oh, gosh.
Come on. Love you guys. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome.
God bless.
Thank you for everything. We are responsible for everything.
We do it for you, Big American Daddy.
Good luck in your career of, I assume, the start of dramatic action movies. Like it's
Just
designed
trailers.
for that. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Nando's big green tractor is next.
Big cream tractor. Was that,
Not a
Harry?
cream tractor. That's something entirely different.
Hello, y'all. It's Nando's Big Green Tractor from Texas.
There you go.
And my under pressure submission for this week is whoever is in charge of hiring at Red Bull. Because I'm like, now that we know where Newey's going, I imagine some other people will probably want to follow him. And I don't know, maybe they need to call up whoever's in charge of HR at Alpine for some tips on what to do when you have literally no employees.
Don't
Just
do
a
that.
thought.
No.
Let's answer the phone.
There's no HR.
All right,
That's the opposite of what you should do. They did re-sign with, I believe, a hyphen in the middle of the re-sign. They re-signed Jean-Pierre Lambiase, didn't they?
They did slip that one on the radar, which will help their Max Verstappen negotiations because I don't know whether he goes anywhere without GP, to be honest. Anyway. Sebalicious is next.
Hello, it's Magaloo Seb recording at 3:01 a.m.
Oh my God.
on the strip.
What's happening in the
I
background?
have a doner kebab in my hands, and my under pressure is Oscar Piastri. Because if you're going to send it down your, teammate when he's kind of fighting for a championship, maybe cement some few results, please. Goodbye.
Oh, he is so drunk.
Yeah.
He's hammered.
Was he murdering a cat?
I don't know what was happening at the same time.
Something.
There's a lot going on in there. Magaluf strip. Someone's being murdered in the background. Seb
It's been
can't
a while
speak.
since I've been a Magaloof, and it didn't sound like that.
That's why it sounds like that, because you're not there.
That'll be it.
Tamer F1 is next.
Hi there, guys. Long-time listener, first-time submitter. My under pressure is the papaya rules. They're so good. They're calling them pauper rules now.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
What? Hey, what? They're calling it what? Popper rules?
Play it again, Harry. I get to hear it again.
Play it again. Okay. Tamer F1.
Hi there, guys. Long-time listener, first-time submitter.
Thank you.
My under pressure is the papaya rules. They're so good, they're calling them pauper rules now.
I don't know what that means.
What's
pauper rules?
I got no idea. Pauper rules?
They're so good. They've been called popper rules.
I need to Google it. It's Popper rules.
That sounds like it's some sort of like a tagline or like a commercial related joke, maybe.
Popper rules.
But Tamer F1, that is my favourite.
Oh, it's Magic the Gathering.
That's okay.
Which I've never played.
That explains why.
What's Magic the Gathering?
What is Pauper? Oh, this is a different. Maybe when we do Boomer Breaker, we're going to dig into this. I love Pauper and I get the legacy bit. Okay, so it's I don't know. Let us know.
Tamer, please.
Get involved. Please
let us know.
Let's move on. Oliver Bearman, he was referenced quite a bit in that segment. Of course, it's his second race of this season, but his first for Haas. Do you remember, by the way, I think this has been clipped a couple of times, when he was trying to get by the Haas in that Grand Prix and was like, God, this Haas is so slow. And now he has to drive it.
Lol.
Yeah, I know. What do you expect from him, Sam, this weekend?
Very much the same in terms of not obviously finishing that close to the podium positions, but I meant the same level of composure, the same sensible style of driving, holding his own. I don't expect him to go out there and beat Hulkenberg, much like I didn't expect him to go out there and beat Leclerc when he was driving the Ferrari in Saudi. But I almost feel like we've come to expect Ollie Bearman to be this consistent, calm attitude. He was so well held when he was at Saudi. It seemed like it was almost his father, like he was going to have an absolute breakdown, but it was clearly expected from everyone else that he was going to deliver this calm performance. And I was thoroughly impressed. So at a track like Baku, which, you know, Saudi is a really tough Grand Prix to have as your first Grand Prix. Baku as your second isn't really much better. But I feel like if he could get past one, he could get past another. So just be calm, be consistent. If Hulkenberg's in the points, say Hulkenberg finishes 9th, 11th, 12th, I don't think it's an absolute disappointment. I think he's going to be a consistent driver, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he does.
What do you expect from him this weekend, Harry?
Yeah, I don't really buy there's a lot of pressure on him this weekend. He did obviously really well with the Ferrari drive in Saudi. That was an impressive performance, but he's still a rookie. Like, he's still a rookie who's had only one outing in a car, and it's not even the same car he's driving this weekend. So to expect him to be some sort of, you know, brilliant genius behind the wheel and smash Hulkenberg out of the park is unrealistic. And just keeping it consistent. Again, he did a whole weekend around. He didn't do a whole weekend, did he? He did a part of a weekend in Saudi. At least this time he's getting a whole weekend to build up to it. Keep out the barriers. Haas don't need the extra bills to fix the car. So, yeah, I for Bearman, it's just keep it consistent this weekend. Obviously, don't be really slow, but I don't think he needs to be setting the world alight necessarily. This is a really valuable piece of track time that he wasn't going to get. It's a bonus this weekend. So, yeah, I don't see it as a massive weekend for him in terms of pressure.
Yeah, I very much wanted to bring up the same point that you raised there about how in Jeddah he had free practice 3 and then he's straight into qualifying in a car he'd never driven before. Here, he's driving a car that he's done 6 free practice sessions for Haas since like last October. So, and he's got all 3 free practice sessions. He has got time to embed himself, and he's got time. If I could say anything to him, it'd just be, you know, work your way into the weekend. It's not going to be won and lost on the Friday. Just take your time. And I think he will actually have quite high expectations for himself. I think he's that kind of driver, really. And I'm not saying he will compete with Hulkenberg, but at the same time, if Hulkenberg is able to compete for points, I think Bearman will expect the same thing of himself. Even if he can't achieve it, I think he will expect that he can do what Hulkenberg can do. I would just like to see him. The result for me is kind of meaningless. I don't really mind what the result is. I'd just like to see him competitive and contributing in some way or another. Because even if he needs to play the Kevin Magnussen role, we know this season Magnussen has quite a lot of the time backed up other drivers for Nico Hulkenberg to go off into the distance. Even if it's that kind of a role, he's helping the team. So I'd just like to see him in the mix, if anything.
I just want to see him have a good time.
Oh, that's lovely, mate.
That's lovely.
Let's have fun.
I'm glad you're looking out for him. We'll take our final break on this episode. It's F1 back and forth on the other side. Welcome back, everyone. F1 back and forth time.
F1. Back and forth, it's F1. Back and forth, it goes backwards. Then goes forth, it's F1. Back and forth, F1.
F1 back and forth. So Harry and Sam will go head to head and try to name all of the drivers in this particular topic. They will keep going until one of them can't think of an answer or gives an incorrect answer. I'll give you a strike, shall I?
I'd like one, please.
You know what? I'm feeling generous. The last segment's got me in a good mood. 2 strikes each.
Cheers, Tamer F1. Look what we've done.
Yeah.
Just call us Alpine.
So, your category today is the last 20 drivers to achieve a podium, but not including current drivers.
I don't like this topic anymore.
No,
I'd like to go home.
I need my mum.
Please, all my dads who might know more about this than me.
No, he's just going to send you pictures of Mel Gibson.
Probably would.
He so would. There'd just be pictures of podiums he's found.
This is a great podium, Sam. You can have this one.
This was before you were born.
Right. Anyway.
Harry, kick us off.
Oh, damn it. The last 20 drivers have a podium. Nico Rosberg.
Nico Rosberg is a correct answer. He's 4th on this list, and it's sort of chronologically so. Abu Dhabi 2016 was his last podium. Of course, where he won the title. Sam.
Kimi Räikkönen.
He's 3rd on this list. His last podium was Brazil 2018. Harry.
Sebastian Vettel.
He was the last driver to secure a podium who's not on the current grid. Baku, ironically, 3 years ago. Sam.
Harry, that means someone between Vettel and Raikkonen, who is no longer on the grid, has left but scored a podium.
Scheiße.
Yeah, that was my thought process as well on that front. Good. And Bottas is still on the grid, so I go for that one either, mate. Mark Webber.
Mark Webber is a correct answer. His last podium was the 2013 Brazilian Grand Prix. He's 8th on this list.
8th. There's 12 more after him. Crikey, mate.
Felipe Massa.
Felipe Massa is a correct answer. The 2015 Italian Grand Prix, so that puts him 5th on this list. Sam.
Pastor Maldonado.
Maldonado is a correct answer. His last podium was his last win, and his only win. The 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, he is 11th on this list. Harry.
Felipe Massa. I've already said Felipe Massa.
Grab him.
Oh no! I've meant to say Romain Grosjean, but I've said Felipe Massa. Romain Grosjean.
Why don't you give Sebastian Vettel a go? 2015 Belgian Grand Prix was his last podium. That puts him 6th on this list.
That's quite annoying, Harry, because I was going to say that one.
Try Felipe Massa.
Thanks for that. Heikki Kovalainen.
Heikki Kovalainen is on this list.
Just. I was going to say, he must be getting towards the end.
The 2008 Italian Grand Prix, he is 19th on this list. So you've kind of got an idea of the time frame we're working with now.
Okay, sign of the times.
Harry.
Kamui Kobayashi.
Is a correct answer. A home podium was his last podium, the 2012 Japanese Grand Prix. He is 9th on this list. Sam.
Oh, no. We've hit that time where I'm going to talk while I think at the same time because I'm struggling.
Classic.
Already. How many have we done already, Ben? How many actual answers are left?
There are 10 answers, 11 answers left, I think.
11 answers left. And I do not have a single answer in my mind. It's good, bang it. Why can't I not think of a single driver? That is so frustrating. Robert Kubica.
Kubica is a correct answer. 2010 Belgian Grand Prix, so he's 14th on this list. Harry.
Don't be too quick with it, please. Can you just take your time?
Rubens Barrichello.
Thank you.
Yes, with 8 U's famously in his first name. 2009 Italian Grand Prix was his last podium. That puts him 17th on this list. Back to you, Sam.
I like that. Can you do this more? Can you pick a team where we've not seen either of the drivers, and I'll do the other one?
Nice.
Jenson Button.
Jenson Button is a correct answer. 2014 Australian Grand Prix was his last podium.
Didn't even get to stand on it, though.
And yes, very good point. He didn't even get to stand on it, but Kevin Magnussen did.
Kovalainen was what, second on the list?
He was 19th on the list. So there's only one driver.
19th, yeah. Only one driver before him. I cannot think who is that person in between Vettel and Rosberg either.
No, which is stupid.
I don't know.
Is it Rogue, Ben? The one between Vettel and Rosberg?
It's between Vettel and Raikkonen. But, I mean...
Not that Rogue.
Wasn't his only podium.
That means it's 2016 to 2018. It's in that region.
It's after 2018.
Between 2018. Raikkonen and Vettel.
Oh, sorry. It's like so many names. That's really confusing. Because Rosberg's last podium was obviously 2016.
I don't know. I might take a strike here. Jarno Trulli.
Jarno Trulli is a correct answer.
That was my strike answer.
Is he the last one?
He's not the last one, no. He had a podium at the 2009 Japanese Grand Prix.
For goodness sake.
For goodness sake, indeed.
15th on the list.
Good Lord. I'm just trying to think of drivers that now were all right, and I'll take a strike. Nick Heidfeld.
Oh, Nick Heidfeld is a correct answer. 2011 Malaysian Grand Prix, that he's 12th on the list, which leaves you with 7 names.
Still 7?
Sam's favourite devil racing driver, Vitaly Petrov.
Yeah, Petrov is on the list. 2011 Australian Grand Prix.
Crikey.
Sam, back to you.
Oh, I hate that that's happened so quickly.
Also, side note, whilst I'm thinking, beginning of the 2011 season, the Renault, absolute goat of a car.
Absolute beast, wasn't it?
For no reason. And then refused to elaborate after race 2.
I refuse to elaborate.
Classic Sam thinking song.
I haven't got a single name in my mind either. It's so frustrating. It's not correct. It's the only thing I can think of. I'll take a strike. Alex Wirtz.
Alex Wirtz is not a correct answer.
Yeah,
good shout.
It's very close, though. He is 22nd on this list. He had a podium at the 2007 Canadian Grand Prix.
I like that you go beyond, by the way, Ben. I enjoy how agonizingly close I am.
No worries at all. Harry, back to you.
Ireland's most successful racing driver, Tim O'Glock.
I was trying to work out where you were going.
Where are you going with that?
I got there about halfway through. Yes,
Tim
O'Glock had a podium at the 2009 Singapore Grand Prix, which means you've got 4 names left, Sam.
I think I'm going to be out because I literally can't. It's amazing how I've watched Formula One for nearly 30 years of my life. I literally can't remember a driver's name.
We can get this wrong and still be in.
Yep.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was 2 and I'm out. Damn.
Damn, it goes on.
I was free.
Pain continues.
Sorry, I'm saying Robert Kubica. I was about to say again.
Felipe Massa?
Sauber? Brabham? No, that's not even close to being right, so I don't want to say it. Can I pass? Antonio Giovinazzi. Not right.
I'm afraid not. You're in the right. I mean, you're in the right time frame at least for that second answer, but not Giovinazzi. Harry, back to you.
Nelson Piquet Jr.
The last name on the list, the 2008 German Grand Prix.
Oh, it's back to me again, for Christ's sake.
There's only 2 players in this game.
That is how that works, isn't it?
Only played this about
How many left,
times.
Benjamin?
You've got 3 names left.
Oh,
Can we have where they are on the list, please?
Yeah, so 2nd, 10th, and 18th.
Don't know why I expected that to help.
Do you want the years?
Yeah, go on.
Go on, I'll accept the fee.
Years they left or years they got the podium?
Years they got the last podium.
Okay, go.
Okay.
09, 12, and 19.
19? And they're not here anymore?
They're not, well, they're still alive.
Yeah, I gathered that. I meant they're not on the grid.
They're not on the grid, no.
2019.
Famous race as well.
Just go for it, man. Feel free to shout it out. I don't mind.
Danny Kvyat.
Danny Kvyat, 2019 German Grand Prix.
Cool. I would never have guessed that, so that's fine.
I cannot believe you haven't got the next name on this list.
What, the 12 one?
Yeah. He was quite good. And when I say quite good...
Oh, for the love of God. I can't believe I've done that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I thought for a minute there, I almost, we'd gone past it already.
Michael.
The other one, I'll give you a slight clue on the 2009. It was perhaps a weekend that was even better known for qualifying than it was the race.
In 09?
It's short go as well, mate, so crack on.
Sure, that's how this is working now. 09 qualifying was more memorable than the race.
For the team specifically, yeah.
How many clues does this man want to give us before we just accept that we don't know the answer?
For this team, quali was more memorable. Fisichella.
Giancarlo Fisichella for Force India. The couple of names that were very close to being on the list that you managed to avoid. So David Coulthard was 21st on the list. He had a podium in 08. And then there were a few. You had to go back to 2006 for the other near misses of De La Rosa, Montoya, and Ralph Schumacher. But I think that is a pretty good effort. It's not an easy one.
I appreciate the addition of strikes into back and forth. It was a late addition, but it does keep the game rolling.
It does. I know you love those strikes, and I know you love back and forth, but I can guarantee you are not going to love it as much as this, which is the greatest segment in all of Formula One podcasting. It is the
LB question of the week.
Beautiful. We were asking the question with Kevin Magnussen not racing at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend. What's he going to do this weekend instead? And there were some very sensible answers.
I've not read through any of these yet, but the first one from Shannon147, which is he's going to the Winchester for a pint and waiting for all this to blow over, is excellent.
Top tier.
Great Shaun of the Dead reference.
Yeah. Alex Campbell here has said he's going to go down to his local theme park and drive the bumper cars. Got to keep his skills up.
Zach says watching the race with Gene Haas's close personal friend Wet K-Mag.
Yep. James Burke has said Mario Kart without Mars 9 kids.
Of course.
What
else is it going to be? A couple from Twitter. So we had Matt saying he's going to be a guest host on his favorite F1 podcast, Late Breaking. Right. Who knows?
Definitely.
I do. No. And also from Twitter, Dynasty Brit always comes up with some funny answers for this. Cutting an advert with Barry Scott to celebrate his penalty points being back to 0. Bang, and the points are gone.
Oh, nice.
The points are gone. Catching a Barry Manilow concert, which obviously is just standard answers now in our these question of the weeks.
Jackson here has said dressing up in novelty glasses like a fake moustache and attempts to race as Mevin Kegson. Which a little part of the hopes you would have said Guy Incognito. The ultimate Simpsons reference.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
This man looks just like me.
Chris said watching the British and American Office for 36 straight hours and then doing parkour and eating jacket potatoes.
Weirdly, I've had a day just like that.
I can believe that.
Dangerous like that. Any more that have caught my eye on here? Some about doors being smashed, but I'm not going to read the whole thing out.
Yeah, I literally read the same one there, but thank you. Better with June has said here, picture this. Sam is live streaming the race. In the background, a shirtless K-Mag slowly enters the frame. He turns to face the camera. Nipples out for George. I can see it happening.
No. Are we also...
Can't.
Sorry, Ben.
I know, I was just saying I can't see that happening, and I'm quite glad for it.
Why are your feet out for someone the other day, Sam?
Toes out for Leclerc.
Sure. If I'm
Premium content, man.
I'm gonna revoke my bold prediction because I don't want another new winner. Because Lord knows what body part Sam's gonna get out on stream.
Running out.
Let the people vote.
Running out of limbs.
Acceptable moments to get your body out on the camera.
Been banned from Twitch.
Goodness me.
I mean, that quite somewhat nicely leads into a plug about your Twitch stream, Sam, and if you wouldn't mind getting us out of here.
Yes, folks, of course, when there is now a race or a qualifying, I will be live streaming on Twitch at Late Breaking Podcast. Please come and join us. Come and have a chat. It's really nice to talk to you guys and talk through all the action as it goes through. You can also follow us on social media, Late Breaking F1. You can watch this episode on YouTube, Late Breaking F1 as well. The subscribers have really been rolling in. I smell a 10K by Silverstone. I'm not saying what year.
It's a faint smell.
A whiff, maybe. Folks, thank you for your support. Patreon is available, of course. We'll be doing our power rankings after the race on Monday. And if you'd like to hear yourself on the podcast, then join the Discord. The link's in the description, and you could do a submission when we do our race review as well. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back, of course, over the weekend for a qualifying review and a race review. In the meantime, I've been Samuel Sage.
I've been Ben Hocking.
And I have been Popper Rules.
Keep breaking late.
For God's sake.